transmission being permanently bolted into place. I'm doing that by the mounts that actually, I forget what they go to, but if you really had to know, the mounts are specific to the chassis. The plates that go on the side of the motor, you basically position it where you want, mark it, take them off, weld them together, and then bolt them back on. So it's super good having a custom chassis. If you plan on doing a motor swap, and yeah, sure, just build yourself a custom chassis, right? Well, that's what they've done here, and it makes my life a heck of a lot easier. I was able to get it into position by removing the oil cooler setup on this Coyote, which is right here, if you see. That's the oil cooler setup. You just unscrew the nipple and it comes right off. I got some oil on here, making a mess. I'm concerned about making a mess. That's a little weird, isn't it? Normally I'm the messiest guy on the block. So by taking that oil cooler assembly off, we looked around and found the best bang for the buck, and the quality of this so far is amazing. I'm very impressed. And it's basically an oil relocation kit. You remove the cooler, you bolt this plate to the engine, you bolt your filter mount somewhere, and you're able to get that completely out of the way and change your oil in a snap. So this will work on any Coyote motor. I know I've done the F-150s and the Mustangs. It's the same block, same alternator setup. So yeah, this kit is awesome. I finally get to switch back to shielding gas for my welder, and I wanted to do that specifically for this truck because this one's going to be a little neater, a little better. You know, I'm not using the flux core out on an old trailer, you know, this thing's a little nicer than that. So I went back to the shielding gas. I finally got my own bottle instead of borrowing one, or those little tiny ones that run out right when you don't want them to run out. This one hopefully will last a little longer. I had a big one, but it was borrowed, so long story short, we're getting back to the shielding gas. Make it a lot cooler, a lot nicer, a lot neater. So there we go. Everything feels better when you have gas. That's it. That's where it's going to live. Think of that. First of all, I mean, sure, Corvettes and race cars have their engines down by your knees, but I mean, your waistline is below my waist. This center of gravity is so low for a pickup truck, I think your ass is going to be above the seat. Not really, but I mean, the bulk of the weight is down and back. I mean, this thing is going to be unbelievable. It's going to handle like a freaking race car. It really is. I have this strap in here to hold this engine in the exact perfect spot so that it sits where I need it to. And I don't know if you can tell, but the mount is right here and it's resting on the chassis member that came with the truck. I mean, it came with the chassis. So those guys are within an inch of where that needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that out and I'm going to build a platform and brace it so that the two holes from the Mustang transmission mount go right into the one that they made. So it's going to be perfect. I was a little concerned about height because of this rotating flange on the end of the trans, but as you can see, we got plenty of room. I could even lose a little bit more, so I do not have to tunnel this at all, and it'll basically go from here down. So it's going to clear. I'll make sure this is nice and strong, but I'm going to get started on rebuilding this floor. Once I fix this mount permanently, then I'm ready to do pedals and undercoating. This whole thing's going to get ground clean and undercoated. KRC power steering has arrived. This thing is awesome. Wait till you see it on the front of this motor. It's so cool. Started fab work on the floor. This is just the very beginning of it, so I know it looks choppy, but we'll get there. When this is done, the floor will be patched. There'll be a hole for the steering column, and the pedal box I'll arrange after I get the column in. But this cab is going to come off. I'm going to flip it upside down and pressure wash it. And I have that lizard skin undercoating that I'm going to use for underneath of the hood. We're doing that everywhere in here that isn't going to be exposed. So, you know, instead of Dynamat, we're going to spray it. So it'll be insulated and it'll be a little quieter. This 2017 engine, we're going to do the KRC power steering setup, which, as you know, if you're dealing with one of these motors, the steering in the cars and trucks is electric. So you take this pulley off, obviously. This is a bracket that comes with it. It hits these 3 bolts right here. There's spacers and bolts. It goes just like that. And then hang on, you change the pulley and put the pump there and the reservoir. So I'm going to do that right now. Have a look. Try. I have these glasses. They're just magnifiers, you know, for the real small print, because I don't know, I'm getting old or something. But I wanted to see if a magnifying glass helped. Oh yeah, it does. Just so you know, if you have these readers, you can use these, and they work. I like to do a preliminary plug-in where I plug everything in to see what's missing, what I'm going to need to fire it up. And on this engine, there's a little, I don't know, I assume it's an intake temperature sensor, or I'm not even sure what this is, this throttle body sensor that goes here, but it's missing on this one. So I'll have to get that, I think. And then also one of these back here is cracked. And these are vacuum. They're just random vacuum. I don't know what they control on this particular year. I know the 11 through 14s don't have it. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm actually going to fire it up, hit the start button, and see if it runs without this stuff, because I can plug that and eliminate this, because these just go back here, and all I have to do is give vacuum to the brake booster, which I can pick up here. So let's see what this is going to take. I'm going to do a preliminary fire very, very soon. If you haven't seen some of the other videos on this channel, I encourage you to go check that out. And the reason that I would hope you'd look at some of those other videos is because a few of the creations were just that, insane creations that people ask me, how did you figure out if that would fit on the Durango? Or how did you figure out if you could put that Coyote motor in that truck, or whatever it is? And I guess the way it all got started was, and it didn't occur to me till just recently, I've been doing this my whole life. I was just doing it with plastic kits before I was doing it with real cars. I think back to when I was a very young lad, and I began to assemble plastic models, and then I saw the movie Mad Max. When I saw Mad Max, those vehicles were insane to me. They looked like a mishmash of parts and engines and wheels. So that's what I would do. I would buy two models and put them together Like this one, as you can see, this is a 91 Corvette roughly, and this is a Jeep Commando that looks kind of like an International Scout. I bought these two together 5 years ago. I was going to put them together and have a four-wheel drive Corvette. I've been doing this stuff for so long that it eventually just morphed into the real thing. Back when I was a kid, my 4th grade teacher told me, you should do this and give a speech for an extra credit at the school assembly. So I literally went up on stage and told how you mix these two together and you can stretch the plastic trees to build roll cages and use different wheels and different engines. So basically, like I'm doing now, talking in public about how to assemble crazy creations, I was doing that as far back as 3rd or 4th grade. So it's been a wild ride, and it looks like it's just going to keep getting better. Meanwhile, let's get this thing running. Exciting. It does in fact run, and I still have to hang this oil filter. There's a couple of vacuum leaks. There's tubing that needs to be plugged from the emission systems that we're not going to use. I also have to connect some of the breather piping and obviously the full coolant system. What I want it to do is fire on the button, and it will when I properly install the wiring. But for right now, the test fire, the test fuel system, it all seems to be doing what it's supposed to be. So I'm super excited about it. There's 3 other builds going on the channel right now. I encourage you to check out some of the other videos because we've got 3 other trucks running and going at the moment. So for this Coyote Studebaker, that's going to have to do it for today. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share everywhere you see fit. Go ahead and hit that like button. It's just something that's really cool. I appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.